With Helldivers 2 coming out recently, everyone wants to know, when does the glorious democratic history of Super Earth start? Sometime pre-2084, humanity fought the last Great War, resulting in the unification of Super Earth under a federation. With managed democracy, the people enjoy the freedom of not even thinking that much about elections, instead letting computers handle their vote. Between 2084 and 2124, humanity discovers FTL travel and begins to explore the galaxy. In a very short time, 3 alien factions are discovered, and a preventive strike from Super-Earth leads to a conflict known as the Great Galactic War. The war lasts for 40 years before the bugs, the Illuminates, and the cyborgs are defeated. A minor rebellion also occurs before the war starts, where the socialist government of Northman's Creek secedes, which was the first Helldiver intervention ever. You might have heard of a few of these factions already, and maybe even fought against them for the freedom of Super-Earth, but who are they? Cyborgs are half-human, half-metal separatists from Super-Earth that use inferior technology to fuse their bodies with machines and gain power. They are accused of destroying planets, but only a few dozen are injured during their terrorist attacks. Once defeated, the cyborgs are brought back to democracy, thanks to widespread elections. Their homeworld, Cyberstan, which can be found in the game, is a snow-covered wasteland. Super-Earth's tactical command stations troops on this planet for 5 years, bringing liberty and democracy to it. Bugs are just like today's Terminids, but a bit less evolved. The bugs are a sentient extraterrestrial species that are very reminiscent of large Earth insects. As far as the scientists of Super-Earth know, their homeworld is Kepler Prime, a desert planet on the eastern fringe of the galaxy. They are thought of being pests, but after the war, they are considered very valuable. Once the conflict ended, the bugs are put into farms to produce oil. Illuminate, also known as a squith, as they refer to themselves, are a very old aquatic species that are claimed to be the ones sending UFOs on Earth since the 20th century. They are thought of being cruel and sadistic, while in reality they are probably very wise and knowledgeable. They also apparently possess WMDs, but they never use them in the game. As Super-Earth propaganda states, they consider themselves to be enlightened, and hence the name. The blue-skinned alien species was first encountered in the late 21st century, when an Illuminate recon craft was sighted. Firstly considered as folklore, these beings came forward with a peace offering. The offering was declined by Super-Earth, as the aliens possessed, quote, large quantities of world-destroying devices, end quote. Upon the defeat of the Illuminate, Super-Earth forces them to sign a treaty which disallows them from creating an armed force branch and requires them to turn over all their technology to Super-Earth. On to more recent news, the Terminids, after breaking out of the farms an unspecified amount of years ago, now expand outside of a previously set up quarantine zone and are now to be completely eradicated. In addition, a new race of sentient machines known as the automatons are conducting raids into our border planets and are also included in this new war that forces Super-Earth to unfreeze Helldivers en masse for the first time in 100 years. Currently, the commanding officer presiding over the war against Terminids, also referred to as the Second Galactic War, is Grand General Maria Cornelius, who along with General Brash approved the deployment of the first Helldiver army, followed by the decision of focusing most of this great force against the Terminids for the time being. She was also responsible for setting up the quarantine zone almost 20 years ago. With the Terminids trying to hold democracy, the army successfully developed on February 8th, 2320, in the span of 3 days were able to conquer the first Terminid-held planet of Heath. With such fast pace, I can see the Helldivers freeing the planets and spreading democracy to the edge of the galaxy. Only yesterday, we received a special broadcast of automatons launching a special surprise attack and invading a new sector, so if you're a Helldiver, there's plenty of action out there.